Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Welcome back, Nazreen. आप लोग देख रहे हैं Islamic Finance and Properties. आज हमारे साथ तमकीन रियाज साहब हैं, and we're discussing his life really and what he's done for the community through his background in whether it's in educational or with Al Khair as well. Acha Tamkin Sahab, you was talking about you bought boats, and that's in the floods of Pakistan.
Yes.
And it was, you know, a lot of people are interested in terms of, you know, especially, and I think it's nice to know yourself and Imam Qasim. Where were you living? What were you guys doing? I mean, apart from obviously distributing all, you know, the needy stuff like food, water, and so on and so forth, but little bit about yourself as well. What was your situation?
Well, as you know, I retired and then started working with Imam Qasim. But I can tell you that we slept on the floor. We slept at friends and people's houses. We lived in tents. We lived out in the open. So, you know, no luxury 4-star hotels or anything like that. We went economy class when we went to Pakistan. We went on coaches and taxis, you know, in those early days of Al Khair Foundation, you know, because every penny counted, and we knew how it was just amana. It was people's money who they'd given us to make sure the aid got to the needy people. So yes, I've slept on the floor. I had friends and relatives in parts of Pakistan. So when we went to those parts, you know, we stayed at our friends and families' places, and we were out early in the morning to late at night, you know, delivering aid and food and medicine as well. And we took doctors and dentists as well from here to Pakistan to help out there as well.
You know, it's a because that is obviously a sort of a concern for most people.
Yes.
You know, like, you know, sort of. But then when you're seeing so much devastation there,
Yes.
and you know, it just doesn't feel right to be sort of detached from this.
Yes.
And, you know, sort of living in a sort of a 5-star sort of living, and then walking out and doing all of this. So you were actually living in tents.
Yes, yes. And even in Haiti as well, there were no hotels there. We were out, you know, in tents.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the United.
Well, I mean, you know, the earthquake and
Yes.
sort of and that sort of stuff.
Tsunamis.
Obviously, you can't.
Yeah.
But so, you know, it really is literally back to basics. You're actually there to help, but you're actually living with the population as well.
Yes.
That makes a lot of difference.
Yes, I can rough it now. Before I couldn't, but now I can rough it, as it were.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And that must have been quite an experience as well.
It was a shock. It was a shock to the system.
Yeah, sort of,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
you know,
yes.
going there from the UK.
Yeah.
Okay, you're there to sort of
Help.
help out and everything else, and maybe, you know, set up offices and set
Yeah.
up the
Teams.
organization.
Yes.
That's primarily what
Yes.
you were in charge
Yes,
of.
yes, 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 yes.
But to actually do it from,
Yes.
you know, sort of the ground level up,
That's right.
must have been quite a challenge.
It was a very, very challenging. I learnt very, very quickly. Feet did not touch the ground, you know. And mashallah, Imam Qasim is very, very educated in these matters, and he can turn his hand to anything as well. You know, I'm surprised. He can turn his hand to anything as well. So he's got a photographic memory. I think he's got a photographic memory because he can remember everything. Mashallah.
Okay, all right, okay. So, you know, sort of Haiti, Japan, Pakistan. So you've done a substantial amount
Yes.
in regards to helping the community. You know, so that's what motivated you to do all of this. I mean, obviously retirement
Yes.
was early,
Yes.
but you know, I am going to speak to you in regards to your business ventures.
Yes.
But keeping that separate, I mean, that's one life going on. Obviously, you've got the home life, then you've got the business affair, and now you've got the charity as well.
Yes.
And charity, you were, you know, sort of wholeheartedly involved.
Oh.
What's the motivation behind that?
It was to help people, to be absolutely honest, and you know, having someone like Imam Qasim, you know, to motivate myself, and we worked very, very closely with him. So he's an inspirational person, I must say. Mashallah. Also, what I'd like to say is that we also set up soup kitchens here and abroad, and they're still running today. We're part of the All Faiths groups in Croydon. We do a lot of work for students and underprivileged students. I have come back into education as well now through agencies, and for the past 4 or 5 years I have a permanent position now at Croydon College in the special needs department, because I feel that I need to give back. And you know, special needs is something that sometimes is neglected. There are over 9 million people with special needs in the United Kingdom. 9 million. It's a big workforce, but out of which only about 500,000 have actually got jobs. So, you know, we need to train special needs as well to be, you know, part of society and contribute to society as well and feel. So I think from the early days of 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to now, I think that I'm on that sort of path now of helping the community and special needs and education and philanthropy work.
Okay, special needs is like, you know, I didn't realize it was, you know, sort of more than 10% of the population which actually had special needs.
Yes,
yes. That's quite a number. Okay, so you did the charity. Obviously, you did it because of, you know, sort of the humane factor, and I'm sure, you know, Islam must have been a massive contribution there as well, in terms of, you know, to just, you know, as a Muslim, that's what we need to be doing as well. But just going back to your business venture, now you invested a sum, or quite a massive sum, started buying properties in 2005?
Yes.
That's when the market was still sensible, by the way.
2005, very sensible, and anyone almost would get a mortgage. As long as you had 10% to put down, and you said, yes, I can pay the repayments, and you had an accountant who would give you the letters, anyone could get a mortgage in those days. And it's very, very easy and simple. So I was at the right place at the right time with a little bit of money. And the properties I actually got were off-plan. So brand new off-plan properties, had to wait for them to be constructed.
Did you invest in London, or was it sort of outside of London?
3 properties when I first started were in the London area because they were brand new off-plan. But then I did go to places like Hartlepool up north, where you could pick up properties for 35, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it was a combination of everything, really, London and outside of London, and that obviously you know, sort of managing that after your retirement.
Yes.
But that was actually quite a sensible thing to do.
Yes.
Would you recommend something like this?
It's very, very difficult now, unless you have a vast lot of money, because it's very difficult to get mortgages and loans now for these properties. Now you're looking, the minimum in Birmingham is about £150,000.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So, you know.
All right. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, property prices have gone up, and you went in there at the right time. But you know, we always say one thing, especially in the, you know, the right time to buy is the time when you can afford it.
Yes.
And even though, you know, it is slightly more expensive, looking at 2005 to now, but still, in the next 20, 25 years, we'll probably look back and say, oh, do you know what, 2025 was the right time to buy. And that's when we should have bought. So there's always never a good time to buy it, but always the right time to buy, I suppose. But look, okay, so understandably, you did do some courses in Islamic finance with Dr. Professor Humayun Dar.
Yes.
You know, just to touch up on the Islamic mortgage, because that is also a keen, presumably you did the conventional, but you also did the Islamic as well, simply because, I mean, that's pretty much what we want to try and promote as well. Tell me a bit about the Islamic mortgages. There's a lot of well, I mean, a lot of people are skeptics in terms of what is Islamic. Is it not the same as a conventional mortgage? Why should we go for an Islamic mortgage? Whereas where they call rent, interest rent, and vice versa. So tell us the fundamental differences between Islamic finance and conventional finance.
Well, under Islamic finance, riba interest is a no-no. That's the very, very first thing.
Absolutely. But riba is a no-no.
It's a
full
no-no.
stop.
So there are different ways of structuring mortgages depending on who you go to and which banks. So there's marhaba, there's musharaka, and there's muta'araba. So there's 3 different types of mortgages that you can get. Well, they don't call them mortgages as such, but they're called Islamic finance, Islamic mortgages. And what it is one of the ways of doing it is the bank buys the property and says, let's say it's 100,000, let's simple figures.
Yeah.
And they will say, look, it's 100,000 is this property. We are going to charge you 140,000 and you can rent. And as you're paying the rent, right, we're not taking interest, we're charging you rent on the 140,000.
And which is
Yes.
pretty much how you should do things.
How
so
you
even
should
if
do-
you were
Yeah.
to buy a property and you wouldn't let somebody just walk in and live for free.
That's right.
You would then charge them a rent.
That's right.
So the bank is basically buying the property.
Yes.
And he's saying, right, okay, so you can actually rent the property.
You can rent the property and pay back. And so slowly, brick by brick, you're renting, and then the mortgage is diminishing.
So you can buy, so technically what you're saying is the bank says, I will buy the property,
Yes.
you can rent my property,
Yes.
but I will give you a choice
Yes.
of actually buying this property as well
Yes.
by way of installments.
Absolutely.
That's what the contract is.
That's right.
So
There's no interest.
No, of course. So technically speaking, if there is a shortfall or there are any problems with the finance, it is primarily not your property, therefore not your responsibility.
It's profit, loss, and share. So it's both. So it's actually the bank owns it. So you can get out of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
without being penalized.
Without being penalized.
If the property did fall
Yes.
and there was a turbulence in the market and you had to sell,
That's right.
then that is one way of doing it. Okay. So that's a massive difference. Okay, you mentioned the 3.
Yes.
Okay, so can you just explain to me
Yes.
how they work? The
Yes.
marhaba and-
There's shared ownership, yes. Then there's lease back, rent to rent, yeah. And there's another one called madhraba, which is more expensive, but most banks don't do that unless you really want to do that. But madhraba is the most famous one, and that's what people in the UK actually do. Money in Islamic countries, this is the way they do it in Islamic countries. But being in England, there are a few technicalities that they have to go through. As well as you must take out insurance because it's the law of the land, for the property if it's a burn down or there's a flood. So there's insurance is involved in that as well. Some people say that we shouldn't take insurance, but if you live in this country, you have to have insurance.
It's the law of the land.
The law of the land.
And then a lot of people are actually they don't take insurance that seriously in that sense. But I mean, I think a singular argument is that if you drive a car, you need to have insurance for that.
Yes.
That is the law of the land, and that is something otherwise you'd be arrested. So where do you draw the line?
Well, I remember when we first went for Umrah, people were saying, well, don't take insurance because you're going to Umrah and Allah will look after you. But then, at certain ages, people do get ill.
Absolutely.
And so, do you take insurance? Do you not take insurance? So when we went for Umrah, when we went for Hajj, we took insurance out because of our age and not being diabetic and a few other things, in case anything happened.
Yeah.
Because, they would then fly you back or give you the private hospitals and then you wouldn't have to pay. So you have to take out insurances in this day and age. Unless you can fund it yourself, millions of pounds if anything happened to you.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's an evil that we have to deal with.
Well, like you said, it's the law of the land.
Yes.
And that's what we have to follow. I think that's pretty much how it is. That we haven't got an excuse not to do that. Okay, so obviously some of your properties are on Islamic finance and some of them are on conventional.
Yes.
And I think you're sort of toying and, you know, sort of, and whatever you do. But was it just the property business that you went into, or were there any other investments as well?
I used to run something called Club Entrepreneur, where we used to get people doing other ventures. And we used to have 5 or 6 different people talking about ventures that they were doing.
And again, that is, was it a charitable organization where you were encouraging people, or was it just was it a business?
That was a business where we would charge people to come and listen to speakers, and then the speakers would have a sales pitch for them, and they could join whichever venture they wanted to do.
So basically opening the doors.
Opening doors and encouraging people. As you know, in Islam, business is something that they encourage in Islam, everyone to do business in Islam, mashallah. Because that's where the barakah is. Barakah in Sunnah is to do business. So that was another thing that I did, that I opened people's eyes as well to doing business.
Okay, okay. And that's
with experts.
Yeah, so basically sort of, you know, sort of you want to do business, meet an expert, see, you know, sort of a legitimate expert who's going to become basically your mentor.
Yes, yes.
And a lot of people, okay, all right, okay, so that's phenomenal. But it's quite a background you've got.
Oh my gosh, I've done a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay, just coming back to this All Faiths sort of charity as well that you're doing in Croydon, and you said you had a soup kitchen and an All Faiths. Why and how did you get into that as well?
I belong to All Faiths in Croydon, and we were at a meeting, a friend of mine, Asif Hassan Ali, and myself, and it was in November time, and because of the cutbacks, we were told that there are not going to be many turkeys available.
Not many, sorry, turkeys?
Turkeys for Christmas.
Okay,
and we said, we can't have that. It's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, as I say, Asif and myself, we organised 50 turkeys. 50 halal turkeys from Birmingham.
Okay, all right.
And then we did it for 2 or 3 years, and then we saw there was a need, and we opened a soup kitchen. Now, to open a soup kitchen required a little bit of money to start off with. And I went to Imam Qasim, I said, listen, I want to open a soup kitchen outside the mosque. Can you help me? And he gave me £1,200 to start the soup kitchen.
Okay, fantastic.
And it's going strong. It's been 14 years, mashallah. And
mashallah.
14 years, every Friday. It's called a soup kitchen, but we give biryani.
Okay, okay. And
so it's a biryani kitchen. And we give bags of food, absolutely free. We don't ask who people are. It's there, 7 o'clock, every Friday.
Outside the mosque?
Outside Croydon mosques, we do that.
And you're sort of
literally
giving, and that's again something that the community needs. So, turkey to biryani.
I must tell you a funny story about that, because when we first started the soup kitchen, it was biryani, and we had a lot of Eastern Europeans who came, and they'd never tasted biryani before.
Wow, okay.
And when they first, hot. So then we started giving them yogurt. Few months down the line, we saw that the yogurt wasn't going anywhere. We had surplus yogurt left over. So the Eastern Europeans now got the taste for spice and biryani.
So you've actually introduced biryani to the Eastern Europeans,
yes.
Or curry to the all right, okay.
A curry, yeah. So we have a.
So you've been quite active in the community in regards to your charitable work, obviously your business work as well, which is you know, sort of buying and selling properties, and obviously the academic side.
Oh yes.
It's quite a feat. I mean, all this motivation. I mean, why and how? Where did this all come from?
I was very lucky because I only work term time, which means that I had 3 months a year to do other things. Now, had I been in a full-time 9-to-5 job with 4 weeks holiday, it would have been a challenge. But because I work in education and I chose to do term time only, it's a little bit less money, obviously, because, you know, you've got 3 months. But that's why I'm able to do so much more, because I have more time on my hand and I use it wisely. So that's probably why. And, you know, you meet people. You know, I engage with the police as well. We're on the police board. Face Together in Croydon, we run events. I'm also with the Mayor's Charity in Croydon. We help the Mayor's charities. Been doing that for many years as well. I want to motivate everyone out there. You can make time. Just motivate yourself, meet the right people, volunteer. That's another thing you can do. You can volunteer. By volunteering, you know, it will open up your eyes. You'll be doing good works, and you will be able to, you know, help a lot of people. A lot of people are suffering at the moment. But, you know, that's how you can get into it, by volunteering.
Okay, fantastic, and that's quite a feat. But, you know, what I was thinking about was, you know, the motivation when I said, was your father very charitable? Was he into this sort of thing? Who was it in your family that was, or are they all like that, you know, in their own small or big way? That sort of motivation I'm thinking of.
To be quite honest, my father did a lot of charity work, but that didn't actually motivate me, because it was just part of our system.
Okay, so
or family.
Like, you know,
just
the way we
always
do
give
this
it.
is sadqa de diya.
Sadqa de diya. So,
And that sort of stuff.
and my wife as well, you know, every day she puts money in a box, and then when
Yeah,
there's enough money, she, you know, does something with it. We do regular food packs ourselves personally in Pakistan to distant relatives and poor people. We do that ourselves anyway. But it was actually at Al Khair which really motivated me and opened up my eyes. And I was not a very, very practicing Muslim before I came to meet Imam Qasim. Then since I went for Umrah, we went for Hajj. I started praying more regularly. Before I was just a normal Joe. Juma Muslim. Juma Muslim going to the mosque.
Okay.
So
Fantastic. That's fantastic. And obviously you've had your recognition with the Desh mein, the book Pardesh mein Desh se Mohabbat.
That's right. That was 2017. It was the 12 most prominent British Pakistanis in the UK. So I'm in that book.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic.
So I'm in that. So you know, I didn't expect to be in that book, but you know, with Lashari Saab and other famous people, I was surprised that I got into it.
All the good things that you've done, especially for the community, and you are certainly a motivation for all of us. You know, starting your life, well, in Pakistan, technically speaking, but you know, just from here, and then sort of understanding that there is a need out there to help the community, but also, you know, you've been an inspiration in regards to your family as well, where you know, you've made the right investments and so on and so forth. So, Tamkin, we've actually now, time khatam ho gaya, and literally it's flown by. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much, and I hope that people that are actually tuned in and listen to our program, I hope you get the inspiration that I certainly have. And we're very, very grateful for you to come. And inshallah ta'ala, we certainly will try and...
We'll try and do something together, inshallah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Nazreen, वक्त हमारा ख़त्म हो गया. बड़ा मज़ा आ रहा था. किसी की life story समझना और वहाँ से motivation लेना. I think that's so important. Especially Tamkin Riaz Sahab. He's been an inspiration to us in regards to where he started and all his charitable work, plus also looking after his family. अगले हफ्ते आप फिर देखना ना भूलिए Islamic Finance and Properties. मैं आपके साथ होऊंगा. अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.